Hi, welcome to Pyrography Made Easy. I'm Brenda. In this tutorial episode, I'm going to explain how to create the weathered fence post that I did in my Quail artwork. So let's get to work. The texture on the post is created by burning vertical zigzags. Zigzags are continuous lines burned in an up-down or zigzag direction. Use a very light hand pressure when burning. The razor edge of the pen tip tends to sink into the wood considerably more than the flat of it does. This makes it a bit harder to burn. Using a light hand pressure will help minimize this problem. With the first layer of zigzags, we are giving the post a little color and creating the foundation for the rough, weathered texture that the post has. With the knot, use the flat of the shader to burn along the outer contours on the right side. Then burn the vertical zigzags so that they match those contours. I do recommend trying out different pen tips to see if one works better than another for you. As you work, burn in the basics of the features like the knot, but don't get too carried away. We will re-burn over them later on to build up the depth and texture on them. Our main goal right now is just to put the base layer of color and start the texture and start forming some of the characteristics of the post. The way I start to define the post characteristics is by burning darker, long lines. These lines help me see the structure of the post. With the exception of the knot, the post has vertical lines running up and down its surface. The knot has curved lines to it, but the lines straighten out a pretty short distance from the knot. The key with the zigzags is to burn them in the same direction as the long structure lines. So zigzags on and immediately around the knot are burned following the contours of the knot. As you work, burn in the darker long lines here and there to give the post structure. These lines will be the spots that we darken up later on to make them look recessed. Reburn the structure lines around the knot. I want to point out that I did not change the heat setting on my burner to get the really dark lines. Instead, I slowed down my hand speed. The video is in real time, so you can see how fast or slow my hand is moving. When I burn the zigzags, I speed up my hand movements a lot, and this gives me a lighter burn result. I very seldom adjust the heat setting on my burner. I like to keep it set so I get a medium tan burn result using my normal hand speed. From there, I can alter my hand speed to vary the color or darkness level of my burn strokes. Another thing I like to do is to reburn over an area to build up the color. I think this is one of the main reasons I achieve such realistic results in my artwork. With the first layer of zigzags done, now begin the process of reburning to build up the color and texture on the weathered post. The pen tip I am currently using is my normal tight round J shader by Colwood. I just did not bend the end of this one. Keeping the pen straight was perfect for burning vertical zigzags on this project. During the reburn, the goal is to darken up the overall color on the post and to further define the recessed areas. Burning another layer of zigzags over the entire post will darken up the overall color. Increasing the darkness level even more around the structure lines will recess them. The darker it is in those areas, the further back it will appear. The opposite is also true. Light areas will look closer or raised up from the surface. You want both light and dark areas to give the post variety and visual interest. Let's examine the knot in greater detail as it has both raised and recessed features on it. First off, notice how I'm building up the color in a dark spot. I am burning lots of short lines, dashes, and zigzags in a variety of brown and tan hues. I am not burning the area to a solid dark brown color. Also, pay attention to the contrast between the light and dark values. For example, I'm creating a light ridge, if you will, where the green arrow is pointing to. This curved area on the wood seems elevated or raised up because it is lighter in color than the adjacent wood. The green arrows are pointing to the next spot that I will leave pale to elevate it. Watch how it transforms from a fairly flat area to one that looks raised up. I accomplished this by using contrast. The ridge remains very pale and the surrounding wood is darker. The combination of light against dark creates the contrast to push the light ridge upward and the darker nearby wood down. In addition to creating raised and recessed areas on the post, you also need tonal variation. As I am reburning on the post, I am burning a lot of short lines, dashes, and zigzags in a variety of tan and brown hues. Nothing is burned to a solid uniform color. The large tonal variety of hues in a relatively small area really helps give the post a ragged and weathered look to it. Even the dark, wide cracks on the post, like the one the green arrow is pointing to, are created by burning and reburning to build up the color, but still keep tonal variety. To build up the base color a little quicker, I did use the flat edge of the shader to burn wide bands or really thick lines that are tan in color. Then I used the razor edge of the shader to burn in lines and zigzags that varied in length and darkness level. We are all done. I hope the video was informative. On my website, Pyrography Made Easy, I have an assortment of written tutorials along with a lot of free patterns, and I will put a link to my website in the description below. Well, thank you for watching my video, and I will see you next week.